Welcome back to We on Wild is One. We are glad you're watching. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Eric Kunjoka. Our top stories. Leaders of Arab and Islamic nations denounce Israel's bombing of Qatar as a violation of its sovereignty and of international law at a summit in Doha, with calls for strong action. Arab League Secretary General warned that silence in the face of a crime paves the way for more crimes. After talks with visiting U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expresses appreciation for unwavering United Nations support to Israel on its goals in Gaza. Rubio slammed Hamas, says he encourages a constructive role by Qatar on Gaza. Zapad Belarus-Russia drills enter second stage, with the Belarusian defense minister saying more powerful weapons will be tested. The Kremlin posts a video showing the Iskander-M ballistic missile system conducting electronic launches. US President's aide Peter Navarro again targets India's trade policies, calling it the Maharaja of tariffs, claims Indian refiners were in bed with Russian refiners immediately after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Spain cancels $820 million contract to purchase artillery systems from Israel's Elbit. It's the second major arms deal cancelled in a week as Spain hits out on Israel's actions in Gaza. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says TikTok is to switch to a U.S.-controlled leadership under a framework deal reached with China. U.S.-China trade talks held in Spain came days of another deadline on the TikTok ban. Gazan Health Ministry says 56 people have died in hospitals over the last day due to injuries sustained by the Israeli onslaught or due to hunger.
Fox and Friends co-host Brian Kilmeade is apologizing in the wake of his controversial comments about unhoused individuals with mental illness. His comments came during a live discussion about the murder of Irina Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee stabbed to death aboard a train in Charlotte, North Carolina.
A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Kilmeade apologized for those comments on Sunday.
I wrongly said they should get lethal injections. I apologize for that extremely callous remark. I'm obviously aware that not all mentally ill homeless people act as the perpetrator did in North Carolina, and that so many homeless people deserve our empathy.
Zarutska was killed on August 22nd. The suspect in the case is 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown Jr., who police say fatally stabbed her and is an unhoused individual with mental health issues. President Trump has called for Brown to receive the death penalty. The Justice Department has filed federal charges against Brown, and if convicted, he could indeed receive the death penalty. Fox News says Kilmeade's on-air apology also serves as its statement on the controversial remarks.
Yesterday, I got a call that there was an immigration action happening on Westminster Road in the Park Avenue neighborhood. And by the time I got there, there was already a pretty sizable crowd of protesters that had shown up. They had been there for a couple hours. It was a roofing job site. 2 roofers were left on the roof, and 1 had already been taken into custody by that point. And this turned into what appeared to be kind of a standoff between the protesters and the immigration agents that were at the property. And after about an hour of that, the immigration officers decided to leave. They walked down the street, followed by a crowd of protesters that were, chanting taunts at them, got into their cars and left. One of the cars had to be towed eventually because all 4 tires had been slashed. The man taken into custody was identified by his employer as Chino. He said he had been here for about 25 years and did have a permit to work in the United States. As of the time of this recording, we still don't know where exactly Chino was taken to. This all comes as immigration enforcement continues to ramp up under the Trump administration, particularly over the last couple months. And as a result, tensions continue to rise.
Shalom, giving all praises and glory for our power, Yahweh. Ba'ashum Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashum Rechak Kodash, to honors to the apostles, the bishops and the elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopefully elect of the tabernacles of David scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Wherever you may be, wherever you may be, to us, say Shalom, Yahshua, Shalom. But I'm be super brief, because if not, we'll be here a minute, because there's a lot of decent, interesting news in this little segment here of world news with commentary. And so I'll just kind of just address them a little briefly here. The first one, well, really, we can kind of consolidate everything, but from where this clip is going to be inserted, you have the main thing that I want to talk about was, which I mean, I guess brothers know about it by now, the decapitation that happened in Texas. Okay, and so Trump has, supposedly spoken out about it. Like I said, we all should probably know about that news by now. Because some news hits faster in other places, and then sometimes it just doesn't pop up. Even whatever the case may be. The point I'm getting to is it makes me think about something that I talked about the other day, where you have the Northern Kingdom and then you have the Southern Kingdom, and they made it easy to point the finger towards the Northern Kingdom by just saying we're migrants, and then on top of that they layer it with everybody's a criminal, they're a gang member and stuff like that. Okay, and then playing on their identity, about racially profiling and their speech patterns and stuff like that. So it was easy for them to do that against the North. The Southern Kingdom is a little more difficult, but at the same time, it still somewhat takes the same route by saying, see, criminal, all right, killer, this, or the leader this, the leader that, and so what's being worked up here little bit by little bit is Esau is really preparing to play his hand against Jake, Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, okay, because he wants to roll on the tribes, not only just the tribes, but just in all the cities. He wants to overall roll in all the cities. He wants the chaos to happen. He wants the fighting to happen, the rebelliousness and chaos. But amongst those things, his primary target is always Jake, okay? And so he's inching up little bit by little bit to make those steps towards, which we're coming into a great time of persecution. And then you have, I couldn't find a clip. I wanted to re-listen to what it said there, but it was a clip about something about America moving something into Japan or in the area or something like that. But I don't know what I did with the clip. It's in there somewhere. I just couldn't find it, so I can't speak too much on that. Venezuela, where they supposedly bombed a second boat, a Venezuelan boat, still with the same claim, of course, about drugs. Russia and kind of some Russia-NATO tension. Like I said, there's so much news there. This I might probably have to go back and look at myself, because there was so much there and only watch bits and pieces of all of it, because I'm trying to really remember it. Oh, the last clip was Netanyahu, and I forget the other guy's name, but and pretty much, to just get to the point on that, Netanyahu saying that he's not going to scale back or stop, pressing forward with his mission. But we know that, all right, because prophecy says that you're going to do what you're going to do, okay? And that's what you have. You have the Edomites lashing out at everybody, and because we're just in that time, and it's through those Edomites where all this chaos is going to pop up on the earth, and Jacob's trouble is really going to get opening game kickoff, like at the football game, the opening kick, okay? And so we see these things coming at the forefront. What else there? There's man, like I said, there was pretty decent news clips this time around, and I just can't remember everything. So I just want to briefly mention all the things and actually get a couple of scriptures here, which can consolidate all the things we just talked about. So Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right, the end is not yet. Okay. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Excuse me. And that's what you see happening. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, which you'll see all those things happen. Earthquakes, volcanoes, all kind of diseases. Famine has always been a thing, but more famines kicking up. Okay. You have no, I just said earthquake. Excuse me. I mean, riots and things of that nature, protests. So all these different things that are said to happen are actually happening. Okay, because that's prophecy. All right, and one of the major ones that leads into persecution is what Esau is cooking up right now, which is this blaming and pointing the finger towards the tribes for everything that's going on in Babylon the Great. And his priority objective amongst all that chaos is going to be trying to actually get a stab at the prophets on the way. Okay, so he's which he does want to go against the northern and southern kingdom, all the tribes, but his main problem is the prophets, man. And so if he can pull that off, which he's going to, because it's written in the scriptures that he's going to get his way for a little bit, but he's not going to get there. He says, touch not my prophets and do my anointing no harm, or touch not my anointing, do my prophets no harm. So he's going to get his rocks off on the 2/3, but the hopeful elect remnant, he's not going to get a chance to, unless it's in their walk to become a martyr. But the point I was making is that he wants to swoop in, okay, and get the prophets off the streets. So there's different avenues he can take, but this is just one that we see working up right now, where he's trying to put all the blame on the tribes, and everybody's going to turn against the prophets, man. Okay, because they're going to say, well, you're the reason why this, because the 2/3 are going to join up with them, and the other nations already don't like us. Okay, along with Esau. So then you have the 2/3 join. So everybody's going to be looking towards the ministry. Okay, so we kind of see these things happening. But the scriptures say that all these things are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Okay, and that's what's about to happen. The finger is about to be pointed towards the ministry that everybody's going to dislike, which people dislike it already. But it's going to come to a point where Esau is going to be able to utilize it, because what he's doing right now, he's trying to work into utilizing that. So once he can utilize it, then he can use his deep fakes, his whatever else kind of stuff he got, Bluebeam, even if he has to use it, whatever, put your face on TV, like because I don't think they have wanted posters anymore, but I couldn't think of the word I was looking for, but like a wanted poster, but maybe not. I mean, but they could do that because they got telephone poles and stuff like that. They could put a wanted thing on the side or however, but they got digital, they got TV and stuff like that now, so they can just put it up on the internet. Whatever the case may be, some way they're going to try to post it up, to the world. Okay, that hey, we're looking for these guys. They're errorists. Okay, because especially Esau, everybody's an errorist except for him, the one that does the most erroristic, stuff. But they're going to try to frame us, okay, to be, just the most wicked, vile beings on the earth. Okay, so we see that time coming. And then many shall be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. Right, and so that's what's coming, man. We see those things happen. We see all the earthquakes, the famines, the wars, and all these different things, and all these pretty much news clips today. Really kind of catch that very well. So that's pretty much it. I want to make it short and to the point. So Lord, will you edify? And next time say shalom, and you can watch the rest of the news.
The battle over control in Washington, D.C. heats up as U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to declare a national emergency and place the city under full federal authority. His warning came after Mayor Muriel Bowser ordered city police to stop cooperating with immigration and customs enforcement. Now, according to reports, the Democrat mayor made this decision amid allegations that ICE agents have been involved in racial profiling while detaining illegal suspects. Early this month, Mayor Bowser issued an executive order mandating coordination between local law enforcement and federal agencies, but explicitly excluded ICE. Trump's statement has drawn accusations of federal overreach, with more than 2,000 troops already positioned in the capital under his command. U.S. President claims under his administration, D.C. has transformed from one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S. to one of the safest in just a few weeks. On August 11, President Trump took control of Washington, D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department for 30 days and deployed federal officers across the city. Thousands of people took to the streets in protest of the decision. Trump described the Capitol as booming, with restaurants, stores and businesses claiming there is virtually no crime. In a Truth Social post, Trump blamed Democrats for pressuring Bowser into rejecting cooperation with immigration authorities. He said halting support for ICE would cause crime to rise again. Democrats, including Mayor Bowser, have questioned President Trump's authority to extend his crime crackdown to other cities. This includes Los Angeles, where he deployed 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines in June. Bowser, who previously supported parts of Trump's enforcement strategy, now limits city coordination with federal agencies. By law, the president controls the National Guard in Washington, unlike in the states where governors hold authority. For now, it remains unclear if President Trump can declare another emergency takeover of Washington, D.C. on his own. He would need congressional approval to extend the first emergency, and Congress did not act to grant it.
D.C. is back in the headlines, with President Trump warning Monday he could declare another national emergency if local police refuse to cooperate with immigration authorities, just days after his first federal takeover expired. Trump claimed on Truth Social that his troops and federal takeover made the Capitol one of the safest cities in the country. He also said Mayor Muriel Bowser faces pressure from radical left Democrats and that D.C. police would not assist ICE in removing what he called dangerous illegal aliens. The president took control of the Metropolitan Police Department on August 11th for 30 days, deploying the National Guard and federal officers to help curb crime and address homelessness. Some officials called it federal overreach, noting crime in D.C. has dropped to a 30-year low, while police unions welcomed the relief for overworked officers. Mayor Bowser signed an order on September 2nd vowing D.C. would coordinate with federal agencies, including the FBI, Secret Service, U.S. Marshals, and Capitol Police. However, ICE was not listed. Bowser said the focus is on public safety, homelessness, city beautification, and economic support.
U.S. President Donald Trump has reacted on the Dallas murder. U.S. President Donald Trump has reacted, in fact, to the murder of an Indian man. Remember, an Indian man was beheaded in U.S.'s Dallas. Now, Donald Trump has said that Chandra was a well-respected man over here. He's, of course, referring to the victim. And he's also said that alien from Cuba murdered Chandra. Talking about the murder, Donald Trump has said that, time for being soft on illegal immigrants is over.
Leaders from Arab and Muslim countries are in Doha for an emergency summit. The meeting comes just a few days after Israel's strike on Hamas officials in Doha. The unprecedented strike sparked widespread outrage from global leaders. Arab leaders slammed Israel for killing any remaining hopes for a ceasefire. Listen in to some of the important statements made at the summit.
To the people of Israel, I say, what is happening now undermines the future of peace and threatens your security as well as the security of all the peoples of the region. It creates obstacles to any prospects for new peace agreements and even puts at risk existing agreements with countries in the region. The consequences would be severe, as the region could return to a state of conflict, wasting the historic efforts made to build peace.
2 years of silence over the crimes and barbarity in Gaza have reinforced in the minds of the occupation leaders the perception that anything is possible and every crime can be committed with impunity. They have gone on spreading destruction from one country to another, setting the entire region ablaze.
The time has come for the international community to stop using double standards and to punish Israel for all the crimes it has committed. Israel needs to know that the ongoing war of extermination that our brotherly Palestinian people is being subjected to, and whose aim is to expel them from their land and forcibly displace them from their homeland, will not work, no matter how many claims it makes to justify it.
Qatar on Monday hosted an emergency summit gathering Arab and Islamic nations, hoping to present a united response to Israel's attack against Hamas leaders in Doha last week. Qatar's ruling emir opened the meeting with a fiery speech, sharply criticizing Israel. If Israel wishes to assassinate the Hamas leaders, why then engage in negotiations with them? And if he wants to negotiate to liberate the hostages, why then do they assassinate all those who negotiate with it? And how can we receive in our country Israeli delegations for negotiations when those who have sent those delegations are planning to strike this country? These questions do not wait for an answer. They clarify why we are confidently saying that this aggression is in reality a treacherous, blatant and cowardly aggression, where it is impossible to deal with this level of malice and treachery. Qatar labeled Israel's Doha strike as state terrorism. The attack could deal a serious blow to negotiations with Hamas.
Je renouvelle, Excellence, ma recommandation à l'agression contre...
Your Excellency, I renew my recommendation on the aggression against the sovereignty and security of the State of Qatar in violation of international law and the charters of the United Nations.
Son soutien et l'État du Qatar.
I renew my support for the State of Qatar with all the measures taken on the aggression, attack on its security and sovereignty.
Pour agresser sa sécurité et sa souveraineté.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to strike all those who organized the Hamas-led attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday said Israel was under siege by China and Qatar. He accused them of working to erode support from Israel's allies, including in Europe and the United States. The Israeli leader spoke to U.S. legislators in Jerusalem.
Democrats and Republicans alike, we value and cherish your support, and there is an active effort to erode it. That effort to besiege Israel, not isolated as much as besiege Israel. That is orchestrated by the same forces that supported Iran. Iran's effort to put a military siege on us and ultimately choke us. We were able to break loose from that siege, and we will have to do several things to break loose from this siege that is organized by a few states. One is China, and the other is Qatar. And they are organizing an attack on Israel legitimacy in the social media of the Western world and the United States. We will have to counter it, and we will counter it with our own efforts.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also visited Israel on Monday to show support.
Fear is rippling across Eastern Europe as drones tested new frontiers, first in Poland last week and now Romania. The Kremlin is sending a chilling message that NATO is a de facto leader at war with Russia. This rising rhetoric comes amidst fears that world's most dangerous standoff is edging closer to direct military confrontation.
Radar lights up over Romanian airspace. Fighter jets are launched in seconds. Romania says a Russian drone breach triggered the scramble. Polish authorities had warned earlier of similar incursions. Tension spikes from Warsaw to Bucharest. Moscow has once again asserted that it has nothing to do with the drone incursions. Now Kremlin has issued a strong statement, saying that NATO is de facto involved in this war. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev warns that NATO countries shooting down Russian drones over Ukraine would be treated as a direct act of war. At the same time, Russia is parading its deadliest hardware, hypersonic missiles screaming through the air. Russia continues its Zapad 2025 exercises with Belarus. Now, interestingly, among the foreign representatives present to observe the military drills were American military officers. Moscow unleashed the Onyx cruise missile and the Kinzhal hypersonic missile. Each shot is a message to Ukraine and to NATO. The Onyx, known as a ship killer, travels at supersonic speed, fast, low, and designed to pierce through modern air defenses. The Kinzhal is even more menacing. Fired from MiG-31 jets, it strikes at more than 10 times the speed of sound. Western experts say it's almost impossible to intercept. On other hand, NATO is bolstering its eastern flank. More NATO countries will move troops and fighter jets eastwards. France has sent 3 Rafale fighter jets, and Germany has pledged 4 Eurofighters. For now, neither side is blinking, and Ukraine, scarred and shattered, remains the arena where Russia and NATO edge closer to open confrontation. Euro Report, We On, World is One.
The Russia-Ukraine war bill is staggering. Ukraine says it needs $172 million every single day to keep fighting. But as battles rage on, the question is simple. Can Kyiv hold out without the West?
The 3-year war is devouring resources at breakneck speed. Ukraine's defense ministry has revealed its military spending has soared to nearly $172 million per day. A figure Kyiv admits is impossible to sustain without Western support. The revelation comes as the fighting intensifies with each passing day. Ukrainian drones are striking deep into Russia, forcing the Kirishi oil refinery to halt a key processing unit. The attack cut into Moscow's energy chain, worth millions of US dollars, showing Kyiv's strategy to hit Russia's fuel supplies head-on. But Moscow is answering with fire. Russia claims to have expanded its foothold in Volchansk, while claiming to target 142 Ukrainian sites, from drone hubs to troop shelters. Moscow also claims Ukraine lost over 1,300 troops in the past 24 hours, although these figures can't be verified independently. Ukraine insists it struck a major blow, destroying a Buk M3 surface-to-air missile system. Buk M3 is one of Russia's most advanced shields against aircraft and missiles. If confirmed, losing such a system can dent Moscow's frontline protection. The war now rages on 2 fronts, the battlefield and the treasury. Kyiv's leaders warn they cannot bankroll this fight alone, without Western money and weapons. The daily burn of $172 million will cripple Ukraine's ability to hold the line. Russia, on the other hand, has deeper pockets and more men and machine, which it keeps deploying in the war. The battle is fierce, the spending colossal, and the outcome is increasingly tied to whether the West keeps writing checks. Kyiv continues to press its Western partners to put more pressure, more sanctions on Moscow, to limit its war chest. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
When NATO sent troops to shoot down drones in Poland's airspace last week, it was the first time its warplanes had directly engaged with Russian weaponry since World War II. Poland's foreign minister has told The Guardian the drones were not loaded with explosives. He believes the Kremlin was simply testing NATO's responsiveness.
Interestingly, they were all duds, which suggests to me that Russia tried to test us without starting a war.
On Saturday, another breach of NATO airspace. A Russian drone detected in Romanian skies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the incursion could not be a mistake and that it was an obvious expansion of the war by Russia. Moscow has not claimed either incursion was intentional. It has, however, taken aim at NATO.
NATO is de facto involved in this war. NATO provides both indirect and direct support to the Kyiv regime. Therefore, we can say with absolute certainty that NATO is at war with Russia.
What is not certain is how much the Trump administration will continue supporting its NATO allies. When it comes to further sanctioning Russia, he says he is willing to, but he wants Europe to act as well.
Look, Europe they're my friends, but they're buying oil from Russia. So we can't be expected to be the only ones that are, full bore.
Trump has yet to follow through on any of his repeated threats to impose tougher measures on Moscow. And alliance members have expressed uncertainty over his commitment to their defence in the incident of an actual attack.
Let's turn our attention right now to more top headlines here on Live Now from Fox as we continue to detail the latest on another kinetic strike of a potential suspected narco-terrorist there in the Caribbean. I do want to put up just this video, or this post on social media, I should say, from the President of the United States talking about this, saying this morning, on my orders, the U.S. military forces conducted a second kinetic strike against positively identified, extraordinarily violent drug trafficking cartels and narco-terrorists in the Southcom area of responsibility. I want to play some of this video out as I read the remainder of the statement here on Live Now from Fox, as he says the strike occurred while these confirmed narco-terrorists from Venezuela were in international waters transporting illegal narcotics headed to the U.S. These extremely violent drug trafficking cartels pose a threat to U.S. national security, foreign policy, and the vital U.S. interest. The strike resulted in 3 male terrorists killed in action. No U.S. forces were harmed in the strike. Be warned, you are transporting drugs that can kill Americans. We are hunting you. The illicit activities by these cartels have wrought devastating consequences on American communities for decades, killing millions of American citizens. No longer. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So, of course, these are some images coming in from Rapid Response 47 talking about their 3 male terrorists killed in action. So that the most recent update from the president on social media, and plenty has been made, as this is not the first strike that we have seen, not the first that we've seen on video. And immediately in the aftermath of the first, I remember there were quite a few questions for White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about this, the legality of it, how it transpired, how it all went down. So, of course, following the latest on this, as the Venezuelan boat, the U.S. military destroyed the Caribbean, altered the course, appeared to potentially have turned around. So following it very closely here on Live Now from Fox, it says a second kinetic strike against a positively identified drug trafficking cartel. So following closely here on Live Now from Fox, a live look there in Washington, D.C. at the White House, and the crackdown on cartels, on different potentially foreign terrorist organizations continues. I'm Andy Mack. We're back after this.
And the Pacific is heating up. America's Typhoon missile system has landed in Japan, and with it, Asia's arms race just got sharper, faster, more dangerous. The United States has quietly rolled out its Typhoon missile systems on Japanese soil, a weapon designed to strike fast, far, and with precision. The missile has been deployed temporarily during the annual Resolute Dragon exercise. This 2-week drill involves 20,000 Japanese and US troops, along with warships and missile batteries. This move sends shockwaves across Asia. The Typhoon is the land-based launcher. It can launch Tomahawk cruise missiles and SM-6 interceptors capable of hitting ships, aircraft, land targets hundreds of miles away. It has enough range to strike China's eastern seaboard or parts of Russia from Japan.
So we continuously train against multiple threats, for our ADI series, but it's adversary agnostic. And so we train against the capabilities that this system is designed to go against. Aerial access, aerial denial systems is what we train against. We work through those in both a competitive environment, a constructive environment, and then deploying the system in a real tactical scenario. And that's what we train against.
Now, the system can move by road, be set up in hours, and rain down firepower without warning. Analysts say it shrinks the response time in any conflict and pushes the region closer to a hair-trigger environment. For Washington and Tokyo, it's about deterrence. For rivals in Beijing and Pyongyang, it's escalation.
China always firmly opposes the US deploying the Typhoon intermediate range missile system in Asian countries. Deploying the intermediate range missile system in Japan will further harm other countries' legitimate security interests and pose a substantial threat to strategic security in the region.
All right, and Japan, already pouring billions of US dollars into defense, now stands at the front line of the great power contest. The Typhoon mobile and lethal plugs into America's wider Indo-Pacific strategy, encircling China's growing naval might and checking North Korea's unpredictable missile tests.
Mr. Secretary Marco, your visit to our eternal and undivided capital, Jerusalem, is a powerful affirmation of a powerful bond.
We are focused on what happens now, what happens next, what role can Qatar play possibly in reaching an outcome here that leads not just to the end of this hostilities, not just to the release of all of the hostages, both living and deceased, not just the disarmament and elimination of Hamas, but also a better future for the people of Gaza, which isn't possible as long as Hamas exists, which isn't possible as long as 48 hostages are being held. And so we're going to continue to encourage Qatar to play a constructive role in that regard. We wouldn't even be having these conversations right now if these barbarians had not done what they did. We have strong relationships with our Gulf allies. We work very closely with them on a number of things. We've been engaged with them. We've been engaged with them consistently before what happened and after what happened. And ultimately, the point we will make to everybody is that some fundamentals still remain.
What was the tail end of your question? I've said repeatedly that Israel's decision to act against the Hamas terrorist leadership in Qatar was a wholly independent decision by Israel. It was a decision taken by me and our top security force chiefs. It was conducted by us, and we assumed full responsibility for it because we believe that terrorists should not be given a haven, and the people who planned the worst massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust cannot have immunity. So we did it on our own, period. Well, we're still getting the final reports. I'll tell you what the impact of the strike is. We sent a message to the terrorists. You can run, but you can't hide, and we'll get you. The United States acts to defend its interests and defend its allies. And America has no better ally than Israel. It's obvious that Israel has no better ally than America. You've been a remarkable partner. We will continue to act together with great force and great determination to protect our countries, and I may add, to protect our common civilization.
Attention gets paid to those links, the economic links, the cultural links. As far as the President's been clear on the ongoing issues in Gaza, and that is that every single hostage, both living and deceased, needs to be home immediately. Hamas can no longer continue to exist as an armed element that threatens the peace and security, not just of Israel, but of the world, and that the people of Gaza deserve a better future, one that cannot begin until Hamas is eliminated and until all of the hostages, both living and deceased, are home.
Do you think that it's possible to military dismantle?
We have to remember who we're dealing with here, and that is a group of people that have dedicated their lives to violence and barbarism. And when you're confronting that hard reality, as much as we may wish that there be a sort of a peaceful diplomatic way to end it, and we'll continue to explore and be dedicated to it, we also have to be prepared for the possibility that that's not going to happen.
What's your message to close U.S. allies like the UK, which you plan to visit, on the vote at the United Nations to advance a Palestinian state?
These things that people are doing and these different countries are doing at the United Nations, first of all, they're largely being done because of their own domestic politics. Second of all, they're largely symbolic. They have really no impact whatsoever in bringing us any closer to a Palestinian state. The only impact they actually have is it makes Hamas feel more emboldened. It makes other elements like Hamas feel more emboldened. It actually has made it harder. It's actually served as an impediment to peace. Exactly what needs to happen, and we remain firmly committed. As I said, we cooperated and were involved together just a few weeks ago on the issue of Iran and Iran's desire to possess not just nuclear weapons, but short and mid-range missiles with the capability of threatening our presence here in this hemisphere, in this region, and of course the safety and security of the Jewish state. But I would venture to say a threat that actually extends well beyond that to the kingdoms of the Gulf and eventually even into Europe. In fact, some of the missiles they're trying to develop now can already range countries in Europe. And so a nuclear Iran governed by a radical Shia cleric that possesses not just nuclear weapons potentially, but the missiles that could deliver those weapons far away is an unacceptable risk, not just for Israel, not just for the United States, but for the world. And that's why the President continues with our campaign of maximum pressure. There will continue to be maximum economic pressure on Iran until they change course.
Our Foreign Minister, Gideon Saar, our National Security Council.
Thank you very much.